Welcome back to Toronto this weekend. It's coming up on 7:34 and it's about -8. It's going to be a sunny morning here in the city, but cold. We are now joined by Ms. Morrison, Develle Morrison from Bosley Real Estate Limited. Develle, welcome to the show. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday to you too.
Okay, so there's an article with a headline that left me gobsmacked that I'm sure you can add some color and clarification to. In the Toronto Star, an exodus of 45,000 Ontario real estate workers has hit the industry since the slowdown. But some say Toronto still has too many agents. 45,000 people in the real estate industry are no longer working in it? That seems like a very high number.
It does seem like a very high number. And in fact, when you start crunching the numbers, you realize that this article is incredibly incorrect. 45,000. I mean, so if you just check the numbers, for example, on CREA, which is the Canadian Real Estate Association. Yep. In 2023, there were 102,905 realtors in Ontario. In 2024, there were 100,379 realtors in Ontario. Yeah. That's only a dip of about 2.45% or 2,526 agents, not 45,000.
Okay, so how do the numbers did they conflate two groups accidentally?
Well, so essentially what happened is the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board actually went out and sent back to the Toronto Star saying, yeah, these numbers are incorrect. What are you doing? And so they actually a couple of days ago printed a correction. And what they said was that the 45,000 workers included real estate, property management, leasing, and office staff, not just realtors and brokers. So it was certainly a very misguided headline for sure.
Yeah, misguided, but if we drill down into the actual article, what are they trying to get at? Let's take that 45,000 and just put it aside for a second. I think it's it certainly got me to read it, but what's the takeaway from this article?
So they call that clickbait, because it gets you to read it. The takeaway is that, the market's been tougher. There's been fewer sales. Interest rates are higher. So some of the agents are getting out of the market. But, it's one of those things I always think there's always so many people who want to become agents and they don't realize the work that's involved with being a successful agent. Most successful agents out there, if you ask them to tell you how many hours per week they put in, I would bet you most of them are putting in 50 plus hours a week. Absolutely. Yeah. In order to be successful, because this is not a part-time job. You're dealing with the most valuable asset that they have. And it takes some TLC, and getting that business takes a lot of work and marketing.
You can't be a dilettante in as a real estate agent. I watched Selling Sunset, and I was very curious one day, and I went online. Almost none of the women on Selling Sunset sold any properties last year.
Please don't get me started about Selling Sunset. That show is terrible.
I don't know what I would do if I showed up at a listing and saw the real estate agent dressed the way these women do for work. I'd be too distracted. I'd be too distracted. I'm not quite sure you're here for the right reasons because I want to buy a house.
Geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So no Selling Sunset. But so let's go back to the numbers actually, because I do find some of the numbers interesting.
Okay.
So in Ontario, they have just over 100,000 agents. The population in Ontario is about 15 million. So that actually represents Ontario has, 40% of the population, but we have 60% of the country's realtors.
That's a lot.
And so BC, for example, just as a comparison, they have just over 26,000 agents and their population is 5.5 million. So in BC, they've got about 14% of Canada's population and 16% of the country's realtors. And if you look at Quebec, they've got just over 16,000 agents. Their population is about 8.9 million. So they have 22% of the country's population, but only 10% of the country's realtors.
So would you say overall Ontario needed a reset? We have too many people for too many people trying to do the work, and too many for the population that we have versus the rest of the country.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. I mean, think about it. I'm sure everybody who's listening right now probably knows at least between 5 to 10 realtors.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
It's true. It's true. You're right. And I mean, there's a finite amount of real estate out there that is in play, and too many people chasing too few listings.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the stats basically show that, over half of the agents actually sell nothing. They don't even do one deal in a year.
Yeah.
So, there is that. But, there's this perception for people out there that they think, oh, all these agents are overpaid because of the 5% commission. But, if you break that down, it's actually 2.5% for each side of the transaction. Mm-hmm. That agent shares that fee with their brokerage, then has to deduct their marketing expenses, whatever staff they're paying. Their CRA also takes their lumps too.
Yeah.
So it's not all sunshine and roses.
No, it's not. But, I'm very glad that you were able to come on and sort of find the truth in this article, because as we said, it was clickbaity. But there is a lesson in there for Ontario that maybe a little bit of a reset is what we needed.
Sure, absolutely, yep. Definitely.
Hey, Devel, I want to thank you very much. I hope you have a great day, and I hope that you are very busy in your professional endeavors next week.
I am. Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem. Take care.
Okay.